Thanks for joining me. It's good to see you. This is a guide on how to buy retro devices. I'm going to share with you a couple devices that I own. I will explain the strengths and weaknesses. We will look at the AliExpress shop online so I can help guide you through the shopping experiences. I will explain to you what to look for, what to avoid, and I will share my advice on retro devices. This is a requested topic. I want to help you find the retro device that is appropriate for your gaming needs. And if you would like to request a topic, you don't have to go to my Patreon and contribute to the Patreon. You don't have to like or subscribe. You don't have to share this video with anyone. All you have to do if you want me to cover a requested topic is take this. This is the ring of Halafalandir, forged in the heart of a birthing star. Take it to the tower of Aragnor. Give it to the Lady of the Wood. She'll know what to do. But don't give it to the Lady of the Forest, or all hope will be lost. Take it! Take it! First one we'll take a look at is the Battle XP G350, and this I'm going to bring up first because basically this is the best console that you can get for your money. What's important to look at is value for money. What amount of money are you paying and what are you getting in return? What is the value of money? And the Battle XP G350 is basically the highest value for money I've seen, in that this can comfortably play Dreamcast and Sega Saturn, and those are consoles that are the hardest to emulate. This also means that it can play N64 and PlayStation very easily, so anything that you want to play on those consoles is going to do very well. The battery life tends to be very good. This one does not self-drain. A problem that many of these devices have is that if they are sitting on standby or totally turned off, they self-drain. That really sucks because that means that when you pick up this device to play, it may not even turn on and you'll have to plug it in and wait. And at that point, your lunch break is already over, or you have to take care of your kids again because they've woken up from their snack nap. So the Battle XP is one that I strongly recommend because for the money that you're paying, this is at a very competitive price. It's an entry-level price, but the screen is excellent. The buttons are very responsive. One problem that you'll find on many devices is that there are erroneous inputs on the D-pad, so you press down, but it'll end up pressing left or right. This one does not really have that problem. Because of the dual analog sticks, you can have full control over N64 and Dreamcast games. So the Battle XP G350, I strongly recommend this one. This is basically the best one you can get when it comes to value for money. The screen is a typical 3.5 inch, which is going out of fashion right now a little bit, because we're seeing more and more devices that are now 4.2 inches with the same screen dimensions. With screen dimensions, you basically have either 16 by 9, which is appropriate for widescreen games like the PSP. You have 3 by 4, which is appropriate for basically all your 8-bit and 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit games like your NES, PlayStation, N64, Dreamcast. This dimension for the screen, the 3 by 4, is basically ideal for that. It's going to match basically everything. Some consoles vary a little bit. And then you have 1 by 1 screens. And if you are looking for something specifically for Game Boy or Game Boy Color, then a 1 by 1 screen is what you're looking for. So the next one we'll look at as we transition is the D40 Max. This is the Damn D40 Max. This runs on an Android operating system. Now, the vast majority of these, if you're just new to this hobby, don't really worry about the operating system that much because there's a lot of tinkering that you can do. There's a lot of customizing that some users do. If you can, just don't worry about that. This one has Android, which allows you to install Android games and Android apps. You have more options when it comes to installing new emulators. If you don't like tinkering, Android is the worst option because it takes a fair amount of tinkering, and the Android-based operating systems are very clunky and they're not user-friendly. They're not beginner-friendly. There's a lot of tinkering you got to do. If you're more of an advanced user and you enjoy tinkering, then the Android devices are great for you, of course, because you can install your own games. Many of my upcoming games I'll be launching Android versions, and I'm testing on these devices to make sure that they're optimized and they run well, and they work just fine. So Android is a great option. This is the DM40 Max. This is one of the lower priced Android devices. It's the only one with a 1:1 screen. It's a very weird aspect ratio for Android, but it's great. The controls are very comfortable, battery life is good, and it's got this really cool crystal style display, so it's kind of like the PS Vita buttons. They look premium, they feel really nice, they're just cool. Plus on the D40 Max, the buttons are huge, so if you've got big old lumberjack hands, this kind of console will be appropriate for you. The triggers land comfortably, and they have these little machine switches, which are nice and clicky. They're not squishy, which makes them very responsive. So I strongly recommend this one because you can find this at a very good price, good controls, decent performance. It's not the best performance because, again, the price tag you're looking at this is not that high. So something to keep in mind, which is very important when discussing retro, is that retro, basically every single person that I've seen on the internet is using the word retro incorrectly. This is a Game Boy Advanced SP. This is a Game Boy Color. These are not retro devices. You're going to find everyone on the internet saying, this is a retro device, I'm a retro gamer. These are not retro devices. These are vintage devices. The word retro means something that is new, that is created to style match something that is old. Again, this is vintage. Vintage means that it is older than 20 years. Retro is something new that is created to look like something that is old. And classic is something that is vintage, that is deemed to have high value, that is good quality, better than average. These are classic devices. They are vintage, but they are also classic. We can refer to these as classic devices, but these are not retro devices. These that I'm sharing with you are retro devices. This is the R36 Max. Something that I dislike about vertical handhelds, and you may not have this problem, but I enjoy doing work outside, doing ranch hand work. Maybe I've got lumberjack hands. It is not comfortable for me to use a device like this. They did put butt cheeks on here. Some people enjoy getting in there with butt cheeks. For me personally, it gets very cramped in there. It's not that comfortable. The shoulder buttons on this particular device are very hard. So you have to impart a significant amount of force to push the shoulder buttons down. They are quite loud. And this means that as you're playing games, you can mess up timing on certain games because you have to push so hard. You can end up pushing your buttons too late. There's a funny little soccer ball that you can spin around. I think for some people that need a fidget spinner, there's that. I do really like the operating system on this though, because as you leave it sitting, then it idles and it goes to a screensaver, which shows video from games that are on the operating system. This one, I can't recommend these again because they're not that comfortable. This has a 1:1 screen again. It's perfect. If you're looking for Game Boy Color, you want a 1:1 screen. If you want Game Boy Advance and PSP, go for a 16:9 screen. The Game Boy Advance is not 16:9, but it's kind of close to it. So a widescreen is better for Game Boy Advanced. So that's the R36 Max, but there's so many devices that use the numbering of R36 that it's very confusing. Now, I just shared with you a DM console that's pretty good. This is on the opposite end of quality. This is the DM R28S, and I do not recommend this. It looks cool. It's got this nice Arctic blue transparent shell, which I personally really like. The buttons and everything, you know, they feel fine. You know, there's a little bit of matte quality to the D-pad and the buttons. The shoulders, they're stacked in a decent way. They're pretty nice, you know, but what's the problem with this device is that when you push down on the D-pad, it very often presses left and right. I let other people try this. They played Tetris and they could not play Tetris because they would press down and it would go left and right. So if correct button presses matter to you, this is the DMR28S. Unusable. This is an unusable device, which is very unfortunate. The screen ratio is designed specifically for Game Boy Advance, so it's a great device for Game Boy Advance, but the buttons just don't work properly. Let's take a look at another Arctic blue device, and this is the R36S. Again, I mentioned there's so many devices that use R36 as a numbering because that was the model that went great. It sold fantastic, and so a bunch of manufacturers just copied, so it's hard to keep track. This is the genuine R36S, the reissued as sort of a version 2. with the nice Arctic blue. I really like how the buttons are connected with that little semi-loop there. It just gives it a little bit of a flair and a style to it. The Arctic blue is a fantastic color. Excellent OLED screen, fantastic visual quality. I'm not sure if this one's charged up here. I'll just hold the power button. But the analog sticks are placed in a way that makes a lot of sense. The screen is vibrant. You'll go for hours and hours and hours of gameplay. The buttons look cheap because the lettering is painted on. They are indented, but they're painted on. But when you compare it to something like the D40 Max, the buttons on this just look and feel premium. The buttons on this look and feel cheap, but it doesn't matter because they don't affect the usage of the device. This is a kind of the device where I don't get a lot of errors on input. So this is one I strongly recommend, R36, but the R36S. The problem is that there's so many clones out there, it's easy to get the wrong one, and the wrong ones can be way worse. This is a more recent Android device, and I will strongly recommend this. This is the XU20, and this one has a full Android operating system. It does have touchscreen as well. This is the cheapest Android handheld device. It is the lowest price one. I am testing my games on this, so if you would like to play my upcoming games, I will be making versions that run I'll make sure they'll optimize and they'll run well on this and the other Android devices. XU20, again, this is very simple, doesn't have the analog sticks, but this is the lowest priced Android handheld device you can get, and I can recommend it. Excellent screen. Well, it's bright white right now. I've opened something up, so just ignore that. I think to return home, you hold left and select for a moment. Because there's no analog stick, if you push this button here, that toggles the D-pad, so it simulates an analog stick, so you can still use analog controls. I don't know what I've done here. I'll just close out of that. So I must have opened an emulator, but it has the full Android operating system. You can install other apps on there. So if there are Android games you want to play and the controls fit, you can use this device. Again, this is the XU20. Strongly recommend this. Excellent device. We got to get through this a little bit faster. There's a lot of devices here. This is the RG353P from Anbernic. Excellent device. Great screen quality. Buttons feel very nice. You can boot into a non-Android operating system. Something I don't like, if you want to boot into Android, you have to take out the operating system card. This is the operating system card that lets you boot into a Linux operating system. I mentioned that Android is very clumsy to use for retro gaming and emulation. The Linux-based operating systems are so streamlined, they're very pleasant to use. You have to push the card out, so when I want to access Android, I push that out. I really dislike that because that card could just fall out at any time. So that's awful, yuck. But if you want to use the Linux operating system, it comes with that. So I'll go ahead and push that back in there so that doesn't fall out. This is the Magic X040. This is an Android operating system. The battery was dead. Now, this is one of the flaws with this device. I really like this device, but it self-drains the battery. This is a problem that some devices have. So when I'm leaving this sitting totally turned off, if I come back to it within a week, the battery will be dead and I won't be able to use it. I've had it plugged in. The screen is very nice. It's a unique device because it is totally vertical. It's designed for DS emulation, and it does that just fine. The problem is that games on the DS, the text can be very small on the screen. I would like to see a new version of this device with a bigger screen. So just bigger, so it's easier to read the text. It is full Android operating system. I'm creating versions of my upcoming games that run natively on this that take into account the vertical screen. I really like this device. It also comes in black. So you want some weird fun stuff now. Look at this nonsense garbage. This is terrible. So we're going to discuss the 7-incher devices, and in all honesty, 7 inches, it's not as fun as you think it is. Hey, who's laughing? I heard that. Who laughed over there? Cut it out. 7 inches are not, cut it out. 7 inches are not as fun as you think they are because the devices are the absolute worst designed devices you've ever seen. Listen to that rattle. I bought this because it looks like a Pokeball. The screen is horrendous. This is not a good device in any way. The operating systems in these are always jacked up beyond comprehension. They are not the same as the other ones. I don't know why this is. Those other devices I showed you have operating systems that are Linux-based, highly refined, make sense. This is some weird Wild West nonsense. It's so jacked up. The analog sticks are just the smoothest, cheapest Happy Meal plastic you've ever felt. The right analog stick doesn't even do anything. It just replicates the face buttons. It can emulate, some of these can do PlayStation, but the problem is they don't, not all of them have L2 and R2. The screens have terrible color cast, so as you move the screen around, you have to look at it head on without moving at all, or else it's going to be dark, dim, and blue, and basically unviewable. But it looks like a Pokeball. Now, this is the absolute worst. One time a seller sent me the wrong device and refused to send me the correct one. It's impossible to look at this. It's so uncomfortable. It doesn't even have L2 and R2. I purchased a device because I wanted to play PlayStation on a larger screen. It's basically the bluest thing you've ever seen in your whole life. So this was the most disappointing 7 inches I've ever played with. Hey, cut it out. I see you laughing over there. Cut it out. So that's garbage. This is what I was trying to buy, which is somewhat better. The problem is the battery life is not good. It still has the same blue color to the screen, but it does have the L2 and R2. This one does play PlayStation games, and some weird reason it runs PlayStation games very, very well. You can connect HDMI to the TV, but the build quality on these 7 inchers, they're always awful. This is the R26. It does have the crystal face buttons though, which look and feel very nice. They are domed. So this is a really nice device. I really like this one, but you compare that screen to the R36S, and I guess it's hard to tell here because the camera is overexposed. But this device, the screen is absolutely gorgeous, and this is hideous. This is a nightmare to look at. Okay, now I have my devices that they want to go play their screensavers. Okay, now this is the Anbernic RG405V. Now this is significantly more expensive than those other devices. This is a full Android operating system. The operating system is clunky. Again, it's not a refined experience, but it plays GameCube and PS2 games quite comfortably. So something like this I can strongly recommend, but you're paying significantly more money for a device like this, but it can do the GameCube and PS2 handily. This is the Powkiddy X28. In general, as a rule of thumb, do not purchase a device that is X something. They're all total garbage, absolute garbage in terms of hardware and software. You're going to be scammed if you buy an X device. This is the one exception to the rule. It has a 5.5 inch screen, full Android operating system. The battery's dead right now. I do use this one. This is one of the few devices I actually use regularly. The others, they're nice to have in a collection. They're fun to collect. I do use them from time to time, not all the time. This is one that I regularly use. It can run Moonlight, which allows you to stream from your PC to the device. So I played Digimon Story Time Stranger using this. It's very comfortable to use. It feels right. The performance is pretty good for GameCube and PS2. And of course, your PSP is going to look fantastic on that. We've taken a look at so many devices. Let's just quickly look at AliExpress now, and we'll see what the shopping experience is like. I have a bunch of other devices here that I didn't even get to, like this wonderful nonsense here. Look, it's fun because these are really cheap. Like this is what, like $8 or something. So it's fun to just pick up weird, quirky stuff. And I said avoid devices that have X in the title. This is X7. These are all garbage. They look cool from a distance, but this is Happy Meal plastic. The software, the hardware, everything about it sucks. It's bad at running games. They often stretch the games out to 16:9, so you want to play a Game Boy game, and it's basically stretching the screen double wide. Let's look at AliExpress. We'll see what the shopping experience is like here. Okay, so I've just typed in retro gaming handhelds. So I've gone to AliExpress.com. We're looking at retro gaming handhelds, and we'll just look along the list here. So the first thing that we see is the Neo Pocket Air. When you look at these devices, if you go based on the brand names, you can generally get a very good idea of what the devices will be like. Neo tends to be one of the more consistent, good quality brands, but you're looking at higher price points. The prices you see here are in Australian dollars. If you want to see what these prices are like, check out AliExpress. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. I'm not doing any advertisements. The prices will be different based on your country and your currency. Neo, again, they tend to be a bit more expensive. The hardware is very good quality, but you can get devices that do the same thing or even do things a bit better for significantly lower prices. So Neo is good. You're paying a high price for something that you can get for significantly cheaper. This is the SF3000. I have one of these devices. total garbage. There's so much wrong with this device that it would take a full review to point out everything that's wrong with it. But basically, you're paying a high price point for a device that is utterly cursed. You see the buttons down here, which means that there's no way that you can actually hold the device comfortably. You have to hold it like a postage stamp to use the face buttons, and the face buttons are almost falling off the edge of the device, as you can see there. Also, it's designed to look like a PSP. It has a 16:9 screen, so you'd think it runs PSP games, but this does not run PSP. So it takes all of your games, like your PlayStation, your Game Boy, and it's stretching the screen out almost double wide. So every game looks hideous on here. There's no comfortable way to hold the device. This is cursed. This device goes in the cursed. So SF3000, no, 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 no. Cursed. Let's take a look. I don't even know what this is. G50V. A lot of these devices, it's confusing because you don't know the difference between one or two, but it looks like the strength of this device is that it comes with Wi-Fi, but always look at what other people are saying about it. Read the reviews on here and say, because some people might say, hey, this was supposed to have Wi-Fi, but it didn't. Sometimes when it says it has Wi-Fi, it means that you can buy a separate dongle and then dick it in there, and then you can have Wi-Fi. And if you have to do that, it's a nightmare to configure it. So see what other people are saying about devices like this. If you get a device that has Wi-Fi like that, it generally works best if you get two of the same device. If you want to do multiplayer, I have had issues getting two different devices to do multiplayer with each other, but if you have two of the same, a buddy of mine, we played that. This is cursed as well, the R39S. It looks kind of cool. I really like this blue color here, but they use an extremely old chipset, like hardware, when it comes to running the stuff. I think it's from like 2012 or something like that. Very old, so it's bad at running games. So, see, this is false advertising. They claim that it has the RK3566, and that's generally, the chipset that's in there. The chipset determines how it runs the games, how much power it has. They claim to have that. People were suspicious because this did not run the games well. People opened it up and they saw that this is not good at all. This is lying, and they scratched the numbers off the CPU so that you can't see what the actual hardware was, but it is not the RK3566. So some of them do lie as well. This is one of them. This cursed. Put this in the sin bin. Do not look into that one. You're gonna see a bunch like this. They're cute and they're fun from a Happy Meal perspective. I purchased one of these just to see what they're like. Yeah, they have pre-packaged 400 games. It's $10 Australian, so it's probably, you'll get it for $7. Give it to a kid as a Happy Meal toy. Buy them a Happy Meal, swap out the crappy toy for one of these. They're gonna have a great time. Have a look at something like, so this claims to be the R36S, and again, I mentioned before, it can be hard to tell if you're getting a clone device or one that's genuine. See, it's kind of weird because you don't know if it's a revision or a clone, but I know that this color, if it has this color, generally it's the real R36S. So this listing looks like it's the real one because it has the Arctic blue, whereas other listings, they claim to be the new R36S and they don't have it, If the device has Wi-Fi, generally you're not using it for internet browsing, you are using it for playing multiplayer. So if it has Wi-Fi, that's what it's for. If you don't care about playing local multiplayer Wi-Fi, then don't worry about any device that says Wi-Fi. Again, any device that has X in the name, do not pay any attention to it. I purchased one of these. Again, it would need a full review to explain, but basically the hardware is so broken. It's Happy Meal level quality when it comes to the hardware. The screen, again, it's so blue and there's no comfortable way to look at the screen. It stretches all of your games out. The L2 and R2 buttons are fake. It does have them, but they don't actually do anything. It looks like it should run PSP and PlayStation games, but it does not. It only does arcade, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, so it's stretching all of those games out almost double wide. Fake L2 and R2 buttons. The analog sticks are Happy Meal slippery plastic. They don't do anything. They mimic pressing the face buttons, which is useless, and your fingers will slide off of them immediately. So any console that you see that has an X in the title, it's total trash. Absolute garbage. It's not worth opening the page and wasting whatever internet juice your computer has. This seems like it should be a little better because it's a different device. I've been meaning to pick one of these up just so I can take a look at it to compare it, because I want to help you find out which devices are garbage and which ones are worth your time. The problem is that it's a 7-incher, and in this price range, like I said, 7 inches is not as fun as you think it is. All right, it's about quality over quantity, and a 7-incher is more about quantity than quality. That's all I'm gonna say. So total garbage, ignore those. Something like this, like I showed you, that I have just here. Total garbage. That's where this listing comes from. The page will open up in a second. Ignore these completely. It's worse than a Happy Meal toy. You'll have more fun with a Happy Meal toy. Total garbage. The performance is terrible. The buttons often don't work. Let's see here. R36H. These are quite good, and these are at a good price. I do have these. I would like to do full reviews on these. This is a device worth having. It is at a very good price. That's 58 Australian. So it's going to be closer to like 42 US. Very good quality screens. Excellent. Fantissimo screens. Consistent, good quality hardware. Decent buttons. The buttons look plain. I really prefer the crystal looking buttons. Very good devices. So the R36H1 I can recommend because it has excellent hardware and software. It runs games well. This one I have not picked up, but it looks like it should be pretty good. So I'm looking at, hold on. Do I have that? What's this? Okay, I do have this device. I thought I didn't have this device. It was sitting right here. So I do have the R36H. And yes, I can say very good things about this. This is a good device. It has a bigger screen. I mentioned now what is the trend is 3x4 screens that are 4.2 inches. And we'll compare 4.2 inches to 3.5 inches. Stop laughing. I see you over there. Cut it out, okay? Cut it out. Okay? We have this is a 3.5 incher, and this is a 4.2 incher. So I'll just put the screens side by side. They're the same aspect ratio, but you can see you get significantly more real estate on this device. So between these two devices, I would recommend the R36H. I would recommend that over this. This is more pocketable. You can put that in your pocket, but I wouldn't do that. I would put it in a case, right? You can stick it in your pocket if you want. But having the horizontal device is more room for your fingers. Some of us have lumberjack hands, and I find this device significantly more comfortable. This is just, wow. Look at all the space I have there to stretch out my man hands. So something like this is way more comfortable. Again, gorgeous screen. This is an OLED screen that's just really fantastic here. IPS, and it's sharp, contrasty, bright colors. Feels fantastic in the hand. Excellent build quality. There's slight texture here right at the end that just takes out the slipperiness a little bit. Very comfortable to use this. It doesn't feel chunky, but you're paying a bit more for a device like this. So this one is a bit more expensive, but you get a bigger screen, and it is a very good quality screen. The buttons feel right. I don't get erroneous inputs on that. So this is one I can recommend. Let's go ahead and go to the next page now and see what else we get. So we have some like the Fun Kitty. I haven't tried this one. Let's see what that's like. Okay, and this is weird looking. That's funny looking. Some of them just look kind of fun or weird. I haven't seen one of these in person, but it seems like it's a bit chunky at the bottom, which is a little funny. Okay. And then you start getting more like this. Again, that's the SF3000. Ignore that one. That's problematic. You have the Powkitty X55. That one seems pretty good. There's the X28, which is the one that I sing the praises of. It's good value for money. It's a good Android operating system. Then you got some real chunky fellows like this here. The Powkitty X55. This will be a decent quality device. But for the price, you can get devices that do something similar, if not better. What you're getting here is a 5.5-inch screen, which is a very good size. That is the same as this, which is, it's nice to see a device like that. So if you want your PSP, if that's your priority here, then go for a device like this. It's on a decent sale price right now. That's all right. That's okay. So something like this that's a fair price for that, actually, now that I'm looking at it. That's pretty good. A couple different color options. This is just a fun, chunky friend. This is, wow, what a chunky boy. These pictures are all fake. They just sort of stick hands in there, so they don't give you an actual indicator of the size. But there's no reason why this fella has to be so chunky. Wow, 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 wow. I think for the price that you're paying, this is not worth what you're getting. So I would look past a device like that. And oh, this is a pretty good device as well. If you're entry level, this is not the same as the Ambernic. The Ambernic is significantly higher quality. This is the SF2000, which is quite famous because it's generally at a good price. You can get it at a much lower price than this. That's quite high. But this device has an excellent screen. I do have one of these. It has an excellent screen. The hardware, it doesn't feel super high quality, but it feels like an original Super Nintendo. It comes with a bunch of games. The operating system is a little weird, but you can usually get this for around 25 US, 25 US on a good sale. This is a weird price for that. I wouldn't get it from this. That doesn't seem right. So this is one that I would recommend because it's at a very low price and the screen quality is excellent. So that's like an entry-level device that's I can recommend. Something like this is so weird looking, you know. There's no reason for a device to have this form factor. And I generally wouldn't, I've seen these devices. I don't have anything good to say about them. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. I'll wrap things up here. I think the video has gone on a bit longer than I expected it to, but I hope this has been useful to you, you know. This is one that I would like to check out, but I can't just, I have limited income for toys. This is basically a toy. It's entertainment. This is a luxury item, and everyone has a limited budget for things like this. So I'm not just going to keep spending money on this. I've been spending my money picking up games that people have asked me to discuss. People are leaving comments asking me to discuss certain games on the channel here. So I've been spending my money on that stuff. I would like to review one of these at some point. This is similar to a device that I already have, which I trust because it's very good software and hardware. And this one has a 4.3-inch screen. The device that I have is 1x1 screen. This one's 4x3 or 3x4. 4x3. I've been saying 3x4 the whole time, haven't I? Okay. It's kind of warm in my studio here. I don't have air conditioning in here. I think I'm melting. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Again, if you want me to cover any topics, do let me know. And yeah, stay hydrated. It's summer here in Australia. I think I'm having a heat stroke. I'll see you around.